Hey everyone, welcome. I'm just testing to see what's going on. Are we live? We are live, everyone. We are live, and welcome everyone. Let's wait for some people to join us. We are Can you live. Guys hear me? And, I just want to make sure that my stream is HD. Okay. Yeah. Are we live? Yeah, we are live, everyone. So, welcome to this live stream, everyone. In this video, we're gonna look at the code that we have learned or that we typed in the previous videos. And this is the code from the previous video, everyone. So right here, let's take a look at the index.html. Again, this is a div. And let me collapse this Explorer. I don't know. Okay, let me just collapse that. So you see now it's just printing a random number, and I will talk about this code in a minute. But let's go to the HTML part. So you see, this is the div, everyone. I have given it an ID of output. So this is an empty element, and I'm using JavaScript to print some data to that specific element. And let's take a look at this line on line 2. You see I have let my output, I have given it that variable name output, and I'm saying document get element by ID. So I'm using that method to get the element. So you see I'm using the same ID. I have named it output here in HTML, and I'm simply placing those or that uh, name inside of these single quotes. And right here I have an asynchronous function. So if you have not learned this part of the code, please watch my playlist of JavaScript. Alright, so let me just go back to stream. Let's see if some people are watching me. How many people are watching me now? Maybe 2 people? 1 person, I believe. Yeah, anyways, let's go back to this code. So I have an asynchronous function. You see, I have typed in async function load jokes. So this function will basically load some jokes from this data.json. So I have a file, I have named it data.json, and we did this in the previous video. I believe it was like 2 videos. Before 2 videos we have done this, and we have some p-value pairs. So I have a setup, and I have a joke. So a setup and a punchline. So this is basically the parts of my jokes, and this is JSON. So we have learned that square brackets are always an array, and curly braces are objects. So these ones are objects now. So we have how many objects? So 1, 2, 3, 4 objects. We have 4 objects in our array, and the first, if I want to get the first joke, I can basically type in 0 and it will print the first one. And for the second one, I'll type in 1 because it's, the arrays always begin with a 0 for the first one. Alright, so it's 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. So now we have 4 objects. So this means that if I want to refer to the third one, I'll have to type in 2 because this one is 0 and this one is 1 and this one is 2. So if I want to print this one, I'll type in 2. Anyway, let's go back to the JavaScript file. So this is the JSON file, and right here inside of that function, you see I have an asynchronous function. I have named it loadjokes again. So inside of that, so this is the opening of that function, and inside of that function I have this variable response. So I have said let response and await. So we are waiting for some data to come in from the data.json file. So I have used fetch method. All right, fetch, and I have said data.json. And after that, we are basically saying let jokes equals await response JSON. So what we are doing here is that we are converting that JSON into JavaScript, and then I'm using set interval. So set interval, what this part does is that it's going to run this function, based on milliseconds. Or, if I type in, for example, 60,000, it's going to run this code inside of these curly braces every minute. But now it's 10,000, so it's every 10 seconds. For example, if I refresh the page, nothing's going to be printed until 10 seconds pass. So once 10 seconds are passed, you see they are passed, now the jokes will be printed. So now for every 10 seconds, it's gonna print a joke. All right. Now let's move on to the next line. So let random index, this one gets a random number. For example, what this math.floor does is that it makes sure that this line or the number that we are getting is 0. I mean, it's either 0 and up, because if I only use math.random, it's going to generate, a number with a decimal. So it's going to print a 0 point something. And I'll show you an example just later. But that's what math.random does. And now this one makes sure that we get one of the, what do you call it, the data. For example, you see, so we have 0, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to either print 0 and based on the length of my data that I have. All right, so that's why I said jokes.length. And you know this one, this line, the random index line, makes sure that I have a random number, and I want to make sure that it's a whole number, not a decimal. Also, that number will be between 0 and the numbers of jokes that I have. All right, so this line does that, and the line under it, the joke, this one, simply gets or it goes to the joke list and it grabs the joke at the spot that I picked randomly. So it's gonna get get a joke, and it will save it in a variable called joke, which is this one. All right, so far so good. Am I going too fast? Maybe yes, maybe no, I don't know. But that's what's happening right here. Right now I have 0 people watching me right now. Anyways, let's go to the next line. So this one simply selects the output. So you see I have that output or the element. So you see I have this HTML div here. I have given it the ID of output and I have stored it inside of my output variable. So right here inside of this function, I'm saying my output and I'm setting the inner HTML or the text of that element into the data that I'm getting. So I'm using backticks, and these backticks are really useful, and we have learned this in the previous videos. So we have two backticks right here, and we have joke.setup again because that's the name of that data that's coming in. So you see we have a key of setup, and I have said joke.setup and joke.punchline, so we can get both of these and we are printing them to the user. And what this does, this line, is that it makes sure that it prints a joke every 10 seconds. I mean, I can make this one really fast, so I can make it a smaller number. Let's go about 100. So you see how fast it's printing that joke. And you see, printing these jokes that's fast. If you do this with an API, you'll probably run out of requests really fast. So it's a good idea to use like a bigger number, maybe 1000. So 1000 will be every second. 3000 will be every 3 seconds. So now for every 3 seconds, it's going to print a joke. You see on the page. So this is basically it. So if you want to make it a minute, you can change this to 60,000, which is a minute, because these are milliseconds. All right. So now right here, I have load jokes, and then what this line does is that it calls this function basically. All right. So let me save this, and I'm gonna give you another example. So let me get rid of this line. I'm gonna get rid of this. I'm gonna comment it out for now, and I'm gonna use the random jokes. So I'm gonna get a random, not the jokes. Sorry, I'm gonna use a variable to get a random number. So let random number, random num equals 2, and right here we can use something called math dot random. All right, math dot random, and let's print that random number to the user. So I'm going to say my output dot inner HTML equals to random num. So you see what this one will do is that it's going to get a decimal number. Now every time when I refresh the page, it's going to give me a random number, but it's going to be a decimal. So it's 0 point something always. It's a random decimal number. So now if I want to get, like a whole number, I can type in math dot floor. Sorry, I don't have my notes with me. If I make a mistake, it's okay. So I'm gonna say math dot floor, and I'm gonna simply include this inside of that. So now every time I refresh it, it's gonna be 0. But if I say times 10, for example, it's gonna add a number that is a whole number. All right. But now you see it's not going to include 10 it's never gonna include 10. All right, so it's gonna be between 0 and 9. But if I want to include 10, I can change this to 11, and we have that part covered. For example, the math.floor and the math.random. What this one does is that it makes sure that it's within the length of the jokes, all right? That's why I'm saying jokes dot length. All right, so this is basically it for this part. And what I'm gonna do now is that I'm gonna end this live video because I'm just testing this live, everyone. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next videos. So if you have not understood some parts of this video, please go and watch my JavaScript playlist. All right, everyone. Uh, I hope that you like this stream. I'll see you all later. Bye bye.